Hello everybody! Today we are visiting this tiny retro vintage and antique shop called Shogadou, and it's in an area called Hatanodai in the southeast side of Tokyo. So let's see what they've got out here. This is a tetsubin or tetsu kyusu, which is an iron kettle or iron teapot. Here's an antique hand-painted bowl, and the picture in the center is of Suzume Odori, which translates to sparrow dance, a traditional dance that ukiyo artist Hokusai featured in one of his woodblock prints. The large wooden bowl underneath is used for making buckwheat noodles, soba. Alright, let's pop inside the shop now. So the owner of Shogadou was a passionate toy collector from back in her university days, which was around 40 to 50 years ago, and then in 2003 she turned her hobby into a shop. Over those 22 years, she stocked not just toys but vintage and antique pieces for daily use, like Meiji to Showa period ceramics and other homeware items. She also has some novelty accessories and some contemporary pieces with nostalgic designs. Some of the items in the shop are actually not for sale, but her prize collection on display. Like you're now going to see her marvelous mini kokeshi collection. They're all on skis. Actually, they aren't all kokeshi. Some are folk art pieces that were sold at ski resorts in the 1960s when it was peak production time for these kinds of souvenirs. So the owner grew up in Nagano Prefecture, and that might give you a hint why she collects these. You may remember the 1998 Winter Olympics was held in Nagano. So yes, she's from snow country and absolutely loved to ski. I reckon the bears might be from resorts up in Hokkaido. And look at these tanuki, their eyes. Here's a pair that have been made like Nihon Ningyo, the traditional Japanese dolls, where their heads are made of very thin plaster. So it's amazing, none of them are broken, to be honest. A daruma with legs, that's unusual, right? This daruma also has legs and arms, which is really unusual because as the story goes, the monk meditated for so long that he lost the use of his limbs and they dropped off completely. And here's an auspicious fukusuke doll. It's supposed to bring happiness and good luck. It has a shunga on the base, a bit saucy. Hopefully I won't get a strike from YouTube as it's not too clear. It was around 175 US dollars. So I'm going to, as usual, insert a currency exchange, yen to US dollar, at the time of edit, should you like to take a screenshot to convert prices into your own currency. Super old, really cool pieces. This one here is a little dog, also from the Meiji period. It's probably a tsuchi-ningyo, a clay doll from Shonai in Yamagata Prefecture. Here's a billiken, a Lucky Charm doll that's very popular in Osaka, although its origin is in the United States. Here's a wind-up cat toy made of tin, and some more kokeshi. I like the fan-shaped ones. And there's one in a bath here, and some more fukusuke. Kiseru were popular in the Edo period, but less used after cigarettes were introduced during the Meiji Restoration. I'm just panning out so you get a general view because it's a very small shop. Let's go and have a look in this corner. I like that tokuri bottle on the top right. I'm not sure if it's for sake though. I must ask her when I next go round. This is a photo of the building from the year Showa 30, which is 1955. Since Showa 22, or 1947, the building has been used as a hyoguya, which is a scroll mounting business. I guess you can call it picture framer, and her husband continues his business in the back part of the building, so he mounts artworks onto paper to make kakejiku, the hanging scrolls. Sadly, she's thinking of closing the vintage shop by the end of this year, 2025, for all kinds of reasons. It's such a lovely little space and you can feel how much it means to her, so we'll see. Let's hope that she can continue it for a bit longer. I'm pretty sure the scene on this plate is of Miho no Matsubara in Shizuoka Prefecture. Here's a picture I took in 2020, and the area is famous for this Mount Fuji and pine combination. We're going to have a look at the other side now, and we'll see more toys from now, which is not my territory, not my niche. So I'm going to try it my best in the edit just now, but you may know a lot more about these items than me. These kinds of jars, if they're hand-blown glass, they're quite rare, used in rice cracker shops, seme shops. But I think I saw mold lines, so probably not those ones. These are cool, these lighthouses with the picks inside. Here are some new items that she's ordered in, tenugui with retro designs. This one is for Asahi Beer and Mitsuya Cider. So she has a variety of tenugui. Here's a maikake apron. The company is Akitsu Hatsudoki, which I think is an engine company. They do look really cool on, actually. I think so anyway. These cupboards are kaidan tansu, literally translated as stair cupboard or stair chest, and they function under the space beneath the stairs. A couple of Godzillas on the top step, and some mini Ultraman on the second step. Okay, shall we now go have a look over there in that section? You can't actually step into that area as she keeps some of her collection in there as well as breakables, but we can still take a peek inside, so let's have a look. Plenty of nostalgia crammed into this space. So those of you who are familiar with toys will recognize things that I have zero knowledge on, but it's so jam-packed in here. I love it. Should you visit the shop, do ask her questions on any pieces you're interested in. She's really open to give you information on history, etc. She's really super duper nice. I believe this is what's called a dippy bird or drinking bird. And some chewing gum wrapper. I'm wondering if the Richion juicy fruit was introduced by Wrigley's, but I really couldn't find any information on it. We were talking about my dad being from Liverpool, and she turned out to be a Beatles fan, so she brought out this book. My uncle's band used to play at the Cavern at the same time, and he also worked at NEMS, and my dad used to knock about with Paul's younger brother as a teen, so we were having a good old chinwag about that. Now these were made by sake breweries to hold ishobin-sized bottles, the large 1,800 milliliter ones, and used for delivery to retailers, so they're distribution bags and very durable. And now they're trendy among vintage lovers to use as a regular bag. We call them sakabukuro, and she's selling this one for 2,800 yen. And we have another one here. This is for a food manufacturer and used to distribute sauce. It says Nippon Sosu, and it's in great condition. She has it for 3,000 yen. Here's another diorama by Masaharu Shibuya, and it's of a local market. This is Magome Market, and he recreates these scenes of the Showa period from photographs, which is pretty amazing, right? The interior of the shop may be partially imagined by the artist, of course, but the exterior is spot on. The owner was telling me that this building was built around the year Showa 34, so in 1959, and a local elderly lady who used to frequent the fishmongers within this market saw this replica and was really moved by it as the building no longer exists, and this three-dimensional, super realistic model brought back all kinds of memories for her. Over this way, it looks like an antique brass lamp on the top left. Could be an oil lamp conversion. And some toy cars to the right. There's Ronko Boy and Dump Truck. A print of a painting by Yumeji Takehisa. And some more of those Pepsi promo pieces on the right, this time from Star Wars. A couple more skiers there. Looks like there's a little guy in the lamp as well with a ski. This is a 2002 Pepsi promo, those bottle caps, but for Star Wars rather than Planet of the Apes. Combat Joe costume Godzilla, I had to actually look that one up. It's not a costume for humans. There's a Combat Joe figurine inside and he has a Godzilla costume you can put him in. These I recognize. I did see them recently in a secondhand store. I believe they're called kanjiki or wakanjiki, and they are snowshoes. Now, I think this one might be hand-blown, this jar. Can you remember we were talking about that earlier? And this one has got some Ultraman inside. The Happy Bunny on the right is a tin wind-up drumming toy from the Showa period. And a silver Aston Martin with James Bond popping out the top. And there's Astro Boy on the right. We call him Tetsuwan Atomu or Mighty Atom. Some sort of celluloid doll on the left. And she had a Fairview Peko-chan, who's the little girl mascot of the confectionery company Fujiya. Oh, I've just noticed that red cross mark on the cabinet itself. I wonder if there's something special about the cabinet. I should ask next time I'm there. The lady in the red top is apparently called Sophia, and she's from conversational English class. She has her Honda Road Pal next to her, and it's from a toy series called the Moped Collection, and modeled on mopeds from the 60s to 70s. There's some more mopeds up at the top, so I wonder if they're all part of the same series. That piece that says Monster and the one to its right are characters from a manga called Tetsujin 28. And then on the left is Ultraman Leo, part of the Ultraman series. Panning out so you can see the whole cabinet. Some more Peko-chan. So Fujiya started off as a bakery in 1910 and was initially devoted to baking British-style cakes and sweets. And to cut a long story short, after World War II, when nutritious foods such as dairy products became very scarce, they developed a soft milk candy called miruki, and Peko-chan the mascot was born in the early 1950s. This character, Kaiju Buska, is actually a mutation of a pet iguana. He's quite cute, isn't he? And here's another maikake apron. It says Shorts Sports Sauce. I've never heard of it. It's from a Tokyo manufacturer. I like the brown color though, that's unusual. And up the top, those are Hagoita paddles for Hanetsuki, a game similar to badminton where you use a shuttlecock. And traditionally, this was played at New Year's. I had to include a picture of two of her kitties, of course. I like this bowl. It does have a huge fix, a kin naoshi or kintsugi. It's fixed with lacquer and gold powder. I wonder if this is a postcard. It's of the Magome area, which I mentioned before, and the woodblock print artist is Kawase Hasui. So this is what it would have looked like in the 1930s around this area. Here's a Peko-chan in a kimono. These are old insulators. They used to wrap wires around them and installed them in buildings. They can be repurposed as paperweights or incense and pen stands. An iron mold in the shape of the Daibutsu or Great Buddha in Kamakura. It's quite thin, so most likely for senbei, crackers. The glass on the left says Fushimi, which is in Kyoto, and they have really soft water in that area. It's well known for producing decent sake. Expo 1970 in Osaka, and 55 years on, currently we have the expo being held there until October. I'm just admiring this dish again. I actually really like it because the lines are so simple. Only picked up one piece to take home, and it was this. I like the gold on it. We thought it was from pre-war, pre-1945. It's what we call a sakazuki, a sake cup, but sake cups come in 3 basic different shapes. This larger hand-blown glass one from Okinawa is called a guinomi. You can get a few gulps or sips out of that. Then here we have a much smaller one where maybe you get a couple of sips out of, and that's called a choko or ochoko. Then the sakazuki, which has a much wider and flatter shape to it. You might recognize the shape as we use the large ones at Shinto wedding ceremonies or when a sumo wrestler wins a major tournament. I'm still researching on whether the mountain and striped circle motif is for a business or part of a family crest. By the way, for anyone who's new here, I do have an online shop and there are some sake related pieces listed there at the moment if you'd like to swing by. So I hope you enjoyed this cozy little shop Shogadou, and should you pop into the store, please don't forget to admire her skier collection. And if you do decide to go, try and go before the end of the year just in case she closes. She does have a showcase in a shop in Nakano Broadway, but I believe this space here is her pride and joy. Thank you for joining me today, and see you again soon. Bye!